Hello and welcome to the Hipster Animal Brainstorm page demonstration video. We are going to talk about how to complete this first step of your project, which is helping you develop your ideas and come up with a solid concept before you start working on your final project. So let's go through and look at these questions. First, it asks, look through the numbered animals in this packet and decide which ones you're most interested in drawing for this project. Write their number and their name. Now, one thing I would like to have you do as soon as you get this packet is to tear this page off, so that way you can have this separate and you're free to look through the packet and have it next to you as you are working on this. So that way you can just bounce back and forth between these two instead of having to try to find this page at the beginning. Now you're gonna go through and you could circle them because this is your packet to keep. So you could say, yes, I'm interested in this funky tiger's face, and maybe I am interested in, I don't know, this little chameleon. But something else you should consider is whether you have an animal that you can take a photo of that you can incorporate for this project, because you are absolutely welcome to find your own photo. And I love it when it's an animal that's in the student's life. So a pet is a wonderful choice for this project, and you get to give it a personality and clothes. It's just kind of a fun process to think of what your pet might wear if they could. And although some of us dress up our pets, I know I do. Now, anyway, you are going to go through and list the animals that you are most interested in using. You'll write their number if it's one of mine, and if it's your pet or animal idea, then you would just say my photo. The next step, it asks, what kind of vibe or style do you want your animal to have? Circle the ones you're interested in or fill in your own. So I've got a bunch of different styles. You could say, I want my Chewini to be gothic. That's adorable. Oh my gosh, I want to do that. So you can go through and circle a couple of styles, or of course you can list your own. Next, and this question is so much fun to incorporate for this project, is there a person, famous or not, that you might like to incorporate or use as inspiration for this project? Now, as you flip through, you can see all different types of clothing examples to help you get started and to be helping you brainstorm. I've got different hat examples. These are examples of other artists that have kind of gone along the lines of this project. Clearly very different from our requirements and our medium that we're working in, but you can get some ideas that are kind of prompted by these. Now, I wanted to show you these last two pages for this question specifically because it asks about whether there's a famous person or not famous that you could base it off of. Now, these are great animal examples, and you can see, look at this little Bilbo Baggins corgi. And the Michael Jackson one just kills me. So you can use these as examples and see how you can turn a little chipmunk into Rosie the Riveter. So you can have something that's famous that you base it off of. You can also choose a time period, so that would be kind of fun. And these are a couple of Halloween costumes that I found up at the top that I thought were recognizable and kind of fun to try to turn your animal into one of those people. And then here are some actual photos. And they're just so much fun to consider what person you might like to turn into an animal and vice versa. Now, once you've gone through and listed out if there are people you might use as inspiration, and notice it says famous or not. So you could turn me into this project, or one of your other teachers, or a parent, or a friend, or a sister, or a boyfriend or girlfriend. It's just so much fun to consider if there is a person you might base this off of. Now, the next step after you are listing out the people is to draw two options for what you might like to do for your hipster animal. Now, the face does not need to be super perfect. So if you are trying really hard and this might be a class that's new to you, maybe you don't have much experience with drawing, then I would say something simple, just like the face of a bunny could be literally just a little face like this, and that is all you need. It doesn't need to be more than that, because then you can come in and say, okay, well, I want to base this bunny off of Frida Kahlo, an artist, so I would give her a little eyebrow, and maybe I would have some flowers kind of coming across, And then as I'm looking for inspiration for my outfits, I can look at some of the clothing options and I could say, all right, well, I can use some of these pictures to help me draw what I'm looking for. So maybe I would use this as like some inspiration for kind of like a shawl. So I could give her a neck, and then I would have this little kind of thing like trailing across. It's from Sailor Moon, but it kind of works for Frida Kahlo also. And so then I could come in and draw all kinds of little details and maybe like some decorative little designs. And I really want to see enough detail in the clothing. The face doesn't matter so much because we'll use our technique to draw that specifically. But for the clothes and the details, I want to see you doing your very best detail work. And I would like for you to have 2 versions drawn. Even if you like one idea, take that idea and see if you can stretch it even farther to get more creative with what you're adding to it. Now, if you have time before we get started on the Hipster practice page, then you are able to color these in, but that is not completely necessary for the full points and credit for this practice page. So you are going to answer these questions, you're going to circle the styles, you're going to list out people, and then you're drawing 2 different ideas for what you'd like to do for your final project for this unit. Thank you so much for watching, and ask if you've got any questions.